So NHK is a Japanese, public broadcaster, and it's Japan's answer to BBC of the United Kingdom. But I should say that comparing the programs that are provided by these two public broadcasters, I can say that NHK would never be able to catch up with BBC in many ways. For example, BBC has its Radio 4, which I really love. I should really, congratulate BBC on the very high quality, programs, starting from news and current affairs to comedy, drama, uh, art critique, and so on. Conversations and history, and also the high standard of BBC Radio 4 is something really astonishing. Now, if you come to NHK, I should say that it's not so high quality. I know people at NHK, excellent people, but they cannot really broadcast high quality programs. They are always dumbing down the programs. You know why? Well, in the UK, the kind of people who listens to BBC Radio 4 is probably not majority. I mean, they are kind of a minority of people. Well, let us say, for a lack of better expressions, the elite minority in terms of culture, intelligence, and so on. And we do have that structure probably in Japan, but NHK do not have the courage to do service to this minority of people. There's this in Japan. There's always this assumption that the Japanese people are homogeneous people. Everybody likes this kind of program. That's the assumption. So they cannot really say that, okay, we are going to focus this program on this audience, and we are going to forget about this audience, but we're going to focus on this audience. NHK cannot do that. So even if when NHK creates programs in science, for example, instead of focusing on the really scientifically minded people, they try to dumb down the program by casting the so-called talent, as an MC, and these talent ostensibly represent the common people. But what they do is just adding noise to the otherwise excellent program and saying really irrelevant things, and which is totally absent in BBC Radio 4. So because in BBC, of course, have a program for the general audience, but at the same time, in some programs, from my perspective, they just focus on the really small number of people. I know, probably I suspect that in the United Kingdom there are discussions about this, whether BBC is really serving the public at large, but they are able to make programs for a certain kind of people. They are able to do that. They are courageous enough to do that. But NHK do not have that courage. So I'm really saddened to say that there are really very few programs that are worth watching in NHK right now because of this dumbing down, tendency to, so NHK is kind of losing the international market really because, okay, they can, put the popular talent and idols, as MC, but these people are known only in Japan. So they do not actually represent the interests of many people in other nations. So by doing service to the imagined general public in Japan, NHK is making the quality of its programs deteriorate. And they don't know what else to do because Japan is that kind of country, because there's this assumption of homogeneity of people, which is actually a fantasy. I mean, which is not the case, but NHK need to adhere to that fantasy. In any case, so they do not have the courage to do otherwise. So That is probably the reason why, one of the reasons why NHK cannot, be like BBC. But having said that, it is a testimony to the fact that there's not such a thing as a class in Japan as far as broadcasting is concerned. I know in the UK, there is, of course, the border is blurring now, but I think there's still this sense of, for example, people who go to the Covent Garden, for example, and this division between these different kind of people. Probably it's not, up or down or high or low anymore, but still different kinds of people. So in the UK, you have this structure, but in Japan, we have this illusion of homogeneous people. That's why NHK cannot make really good quality programs like the BBC, which is a shame, I think.